Keegan here from Biker Talk. When you buy a Motoguzzi, you are not just getting a stunningly good-looking bike that's full of character and charm, you'll also find that you're gaining a friend at every petrol station, cafe or pie shop, because I can guarantee someone will want to come over and talk about it.
Wait, hang on, you didn't write it? Okay, so the Motoguzzi V7 Special really is my kind of bike. Classic styling, twin clocks, shaft drive, and an engine that simply has bucket loads of character. Seriously, what's not to like? Just a reminder, if you haven't already, do us a favour and hit that subscribe button, and if you like the review, then also hit that like button. And if you're after some new motorcycle gear, then check out our online store. The revamped Motoguzzi V7 Special features the same engine that appears in the V9 and the V85 TT. It's that wonderful air-cooled 853cc transverse V-twin that puts out 65 brake horsepower at 6,800 RPM, with maximum torque of 73 Nm at 5,000 RPM. Although it does feel like it makes maximum torque lower down because the low and mid-range power is really good. The V7 has a 21 litre fuel tank and a claimed consumption of 4.9 litres per 100 kilometres. And that seems pretty much about what I got out of a tank. So in this case, the manufacturer's claimed consumption is pretty much bang on. The seat height is a low 780mm and it weighs 223 kilograms wet. There are 40mm telescopic forks on the front and dual Kayaba shocks on the rear that are adjustable for preload. The wheels are spoked alloy with an 18-inch front and a 17-inch rear, and they're wearing Dunlop Aeromax tyres that work really well and really do suit the look of the bike. For the brakes, we have a 320mm stainless steel disc with a Brembo 4-piston caliper on the front and a 260mm disc on the rear with a floating 2-piston caliper. When we look at electronics, it's got the essentials and not too much else, which to be honest suits me just fine. Dual channel ABS, traction control, LED indicators, LED brake light, although the headlight is old school and not LED. I'm not sure why they did that, but more of that later. The Motoguzzi V7 comes in two paint schemes, Blue Formal and Grigio Casual, and the price in Australia is $19,630 right away. Easy. It's simply cool and an absolute joy to ride. It's beautifully designed, seriously stylish and comfortable. The rider ergonomics between the seat, leg position and handlebars, for me, to be honest, are pretty much perfect. It's got a beautiful design and it really makes the transverse V-twin engine the absolute star of the bike. The finish is typical Motoguzzi, gorgeous paintwork and a magnificent Mandello Eagle emblem on the tank. The seat is a gorgeous brown leather number and not the predictable black that you see on so many bikes. The mirrors work well and look great, so no need to change those. And just like its cousin the V9, the factory tail light and indicators look like they belong on a custom, so no need to swap those out. It's got spoked rims which fit perfectly with the look of this bike. It does have a few modern touches to keep things practical without overcomplicating the bike, such as ABS and traction control, and a little LCD panel built into those twin clocks. I think for most people that's all the electronics you need, and any more on this style of bike would be complete overkill. Power delivery is predictable and smooth, although it does have that opposed twin shake and rumble that is just so distinctive, and I'll be quite honest, it's addictive once you get used to it. After riding this, a parallel twin can feel, well, just a little bit bland. It's got a shaft drive, and I've said it before, to me, shaft drive just makes sense. I own two bikes that are shaft drive, and you could describe the riding experience kind of like you're being pushed along. Shaft drive doesn't deliver as much power to the back wheel as a chain, but seriously, for everyday riding, the power on the V7 is great. I've heard other reviewers say that it's a little bit underpowered, and I must say I don't agree. To me, it's a laid-back naked roadster. The low and mid-range power is excellent. Yes, it probably does lack a little bit of power at the top end, but remember, it's not a high revving kind of bike. And finally, and probably my favourite thing, is that it's a Motoguzzi. You don't see too many on the road compared to, say, a Triumph Bonneville or a Royal Enfield Interceptor, which I suppose are its two main competitors. So that means it's a little bit different. It's got charm and character and a big dash of Italian flair. There are a couple of things I didn't like about the Motoguzzi V7 Special, starting with the headlight. Look, It's absolutely fine and it does its job, but in terms of design, it doesn't quite stack up against the rest of the bike, particularly if you compare it to the headlight on the Centenario and Stone models. Now, I know people will argue that this is more of a retro version of the bike, but I would respond by saying that a bike like, say, the BMW R18 is as retro as you can get, and the headlight on that bike is stunning with the LED daytime running light configuration. It's just my opinion, but I would love to have seen the V7 Special with the same beautifully designed LED headlight with the Mandello Eagle daytime running light that is seen on the other models. It's stylish and I do think it would fit in perfectly with the V7's aesthetics. Just like the V9, the gear indicator seems to take an eternity to show what gear you're in. So my advice is just keep your eyes on the road and not on the dash. The gearbox is excellent, but it can be a little bit tricky to find neutral when stopped at a set of lights. It's not a deal breaker and maybe this would improve as the bike gets run in. Another thing I found was that the side stand is quite hard to locate when you're seated on the bike and fiddly to get down and into place. But like all bikes, I'm sure this is something that you get used to, and again, it's not a deal breaker. I like the fact that it's not overladen with tech, but one really odd thing is that there's this mode button on the right hand switch block, and there was no way I could get my thumb to the button and remain smooth on the throttle. Now, if I was double jointed or more flexible, maybe. So for me, it's either ignore that mode button or invest in some sort of weird thumb yoga class. Probably my main gripe with the V7 Special is the exhaust, and this is the same issue I had with the V9 Bobber when I had it. The transverse V-twin engine is full of character, and you can hear the power that is being produced is being restricted by the exhaust. So if I bought one, the very first thing I would do would be to replace the stock exhaust with a set of Agostini's. Although I did notice that my local Motoguzzi dealer Motociclo also stocks some very nice Mistral pipes. I'll put a link in the description to Motociclo if you're interested in any aftermarket accessories for the V7 or any Motoguzzi for that matter. And while you're there, check out their old school shot leather jackets. These could just be the perfect jacket for the V7. Well, no surprises here. As I said, it really is my kind of bike, and for that reason it gets a pretty high grin factor of 9.5. Not quite up to the 10 of my custom BMW R6 V, but seriously not far from it. And honestly, if I didn't own my R6 V, then the Motoguzzi V7 Special would be right at the top of my list. It's got a very similar style, ride position and charm, and when you're on it, you know that you're riding a motorcycle because of the character of that transverse V-twin engine. The big problem that I would have would be choosing between the V7 Special, or if I could still get one, the V7 Centenario. Basically the same bike, but the Centenario has that beautifully designed headlight and colour scheme. Although the V7 Special does have spoked wheels and twin clocks, honestly, it would be a really tough decision. Well, clearly it is. Commuting, not a problem. Coffee on the weekend with mates, easy, and you'd be riding in style. Touring, simple, just add a set of panniers. I think the bike would be a great bike for a returning rider that is after something simple yet extremely stylish. And it's also a good option for someone stepping up to their first larger capacity bike. To quote Melissa Holbrook Pearson in her book, The Perfect Vehicle, Guzzis appeal to the rider who is not too racy, but plenty individualistic. They attract tinkerers, people for whom good enough is never good enough, and for whom the rituals of necessary maintenance are a secret joy, and for whom a professional mechanic is a figure out of a storybook. I didn't get to do anywhere near as much riding as I wanted to on the V7 while I had it. Unfortunately, I only got out for a couple of rides due to work commitments and the unbelievably bad weather we've had here in Sydney. The riding I did was mostly around town, and one time I went down to the Sydney fish markets to do some shopping for dinner. I get down to the Sydney fish markets about once a week. It's just down the road from my office, so it's a regular lunch destination. We're really lucky in Australia that we have some of the best seafood in the world. But I'll be honest, the Sydney fish market is an absolute dump, and it has been for many years. But that's all about to change with the new development that has just been signed off on. So by 2024, Sydney will have a world-class fish market to go with our world-class seafood. If you live in Sydney, make sure you get down there. You'll be able to get some of the freshest seafood available, and my tip is to get to know the fishmongers. Ask them what's good and what's fresh. Also, if you're planning a trip to Sydney, make sure you check it out, particularly after the reno is complete, because from what I can see, it looks like it's going to be stunning. Anyway, back to the bike. The V7 has a couple of competitors in the retro market. It has more character than the Triumph Bonneville T100 and is better finished than the Royal Enfield's Interceptor, but it's also a more expensive option than both. But with that extra money, you do get a true Italian classic that is authentic and just a little bit different. So what do you think of the Motoguzzi V7 Special? Do you think it's worth the extra money over, say, an Interceptor or a Bonneville T100? In my opinion, quite simply, yes. Would you buy this model over the Stone, or would you prefer the V9 Bobber? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Before I go, just a reminder to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And also, head over to our online store and check out our new merch. We'll be dropping some new t-shirt and hoodie designs in the coming weeks. We might even do a run of beanies for those who, like myself, are follically challenged. Till next time, remember, bring back the nod, stay safe and enjoy your next pie run.